Wow. We've never done a show like this before, have we? This is the Mary Elizabeth Variety Hour.
Hello, everybody.
There you go.
Welcome to Mary Elizabeth Jones's Variety Hour.
Yes, and I'm Kay Lazar, the announcer. Let's see. I could tell you that we haven't done a show in a while. I've been very, very busy, and so is Mary Elizabeth.
Yeah.
But be sure to see Mary Elizabeth in Shrek coming up in a few weeks.
In May.
In May. And you also going to be in a talent show, I heard.
Yeah, next month in April. On April 12th.
Yeah, we'll probably do a show before then, in both cases. And you got a new part in a Christmas spectacular.
It's called Christmas Time Is Here.
There you go. That sounds like the Charlie Brown Christmas.
Yeah, it's not till the end of the year though.
Oh yeah.
So it's gonna be a great show. So.
Yeah, you don't want to see a Charlie Brown Christmas in the middle of spring.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna be playing one of the women in the nativity. So.
Okay. That sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
Let's see. I tell you, I've been overwhelmed with stuff. I tell you, I got a new phone. Well, should I say I ordered a new phone? I'll be getting it soon. I never pay for a phone.
Yeah.
Only get it for free.
Yeah.
If I find the phone on the ground, that's my new phone. Yeah. It's like finding old socks at the laundromat. These are part of my sock circle.
Yeah.
How did these get here?
Yeah.
And then what else? Oh, I'm dealing a lot with home repairs lately.
Oh, yeah.
And I got some news. There's a hardware place in town, and you can buy your hardware stuff there, but I don't ever get business from there because they actually charge you for a quote. They charged me $35 for a quote, and then I wound up not getting their overpriced thing. And then they said, no, we don't give refunds on quotes. And I said, yeah, but the quote was no good anyway. And they said, that's not our problem.
Yeah.
I hate it when people say it's not our fault. In fact, when somebody says it's not my fault, that's when not only do you know it's their fault, but you know that these people are just shirking responsibility. Yeah. Someone actually recently said to me, I want you to know it wasn't my fault that you lost your job. And I said, well, thanks for telling me it's not your fault. That does me a world of good knowing that. And I could sleep at night.
Yeah.
You know? So I was, what else been going on? So now I'm going through another stage. It was for a door in the house. And I'm paying for all these home repairs lately. And what else? Trees removed, everything. I am very excited though. I went on Temu.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something. If you're like looking for if you're like waiting for something to download on your computer, don't go on Temu thinking you're not going to buy anything. Because tires for your car, $3 each. Oh, there's actually some things I've seen at Temu that were free. They were absolutely free, but they wanted you to pay like $6 for shipping. So that was the real price. Yeah. Whatever you pay for shipping plus what you pay for it is. But the price of gas is going down. I paid like $2.60 a gallon. $2.59 and 9/10. I paid that much. But let me tell you, it's actually less. I've been driving since then, and I've seen it go down more. Yeah. I want to use up all the gas in my car so I can buy it even cheaper. Yeah. So like I said, there are people around. It's not my fault. There are certain things people say that I kind of know what they're like right from the get go, you know?
Yeah.
And one of them is, get off my property. Now, I heard this a lot when I
Oh
was,
yeah.
selling vacuum cleaners. Get off my property, you know? I heard when I was a kid, I used to hear other kids say this. I used to walk through people's yards to get to school, take shortcuts to school. Get off my property. Well, it's not your property, it's your dad's property.
Yeah, I remember. I remember my dad used to advertise his business.
Yeah,
I used to walk around the neighborhood passing out flyers.
yeah,
And there's this one lady. I knocked on her door,
yeah,
and she was like, "Yes, what's this? Who's this?"
yeah,
And then she yelled at me.
yeah.
It was terrible. Then I started crying after.
Yeah, I would too. I'd cry along with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
But let me tell you something. When a person says, get off my property, and of course, I kind of know that they're kind of jerks, you know. There's
Yeah.
not the word I usually use, jerks. I use another word. but I know they're jerks. And then I told this to a guy. He says, "Oh, I say I get off my property all the time." He also tells me it's not my fault all the time. And I said, "Oh, yeah, I'm glad you're a friend of mine, and
Yeah.
glad you've proven your friendship otherwise,
Yeah.
because I would have immediately discounted you with get off my property and it's not my fault."
Yeah.
Or it's not my job. You hear that at work a lot. It's not that. That's not what I'm paid here to do.
Yeah.
I remember working, and they would tell me, "Don't." Uh, so and so told. Usually the big boss told me to do something, and other boss would say, "He's not your boss. I'm your boss. Don't. If he tells you to do something, don't do it. Listen to me first." I said, "How am I going to tell that to him? I'm a 16-year-old boy. I don't know anything.
Yeah.
Anyone taller than me with a necktie when I'm 16 years old,
Yeah.
which is actually hasn't changed really.
Yeah.
I say, get off. It's not my job." I tried getting out of stuff. I remember working in a movie theater once, and one of the filthiest things we had to do was clean the popcorn machine, all the
Oh yeah.
grease and
Oh
everything.
yeah.
To this point, I'm not even a big fan of popcorn as a result. But we usually the girls did it. The men were the ushers and the ticket takers, like I was, and the women sold the tickets, and they gave out the drinks and the popcorn and stuff.
Yeah.
So one day they were counting the money over and over again, and then things weren't. This is really late at night, like about 11:30 on a Friday night. So he told us, me and another guy, to wash the popcorn machine, and it was a filthy job. There's grease
Really.
everywhere. I felt like thing one and thing two trying to wash this. Only they were more successful. But so anyway, he said that he says we're not doing very well at this. And my friend said, and so I said, let's purposely do a lousy job. Let's purposely do a lousy job so they'll never ask us to do it again. And he saw how filthy it was after. He was probably even filthier after we cleaned it up, because we left that greasy film almost everything on everything. So he goes, "Do it again, do it again. We have to. The board of health might be here. They want to make sure that the popcorn is good." But I was looking at popcorn now at the movie theater.
Yeah.
It's like $12.
Wow. No.
A soda is something like $7.
I crave popcorn.
Yeah.
Like when I sit in the movie theater and I see popcorn, I'm like, I crave it.
Well, you know what I've noticed? Like, if you bring a kid to the movies, a little kid, if the movie is good, they don't get hungry. But once the movie gets boring, they start looking at all the other people. How come they get popcorn and we don't? But you have $12? Popcorn, popcorn. But 12 bucks. I used to do the funniest thing when I went to the movie theater. I used to take my niece to the movie theater, a little girl, and and so I knew she'd get hungry, and she was one of these kids that only ate candy.
Yeah.
She never ate anything healthy, so I was to bring, like, in my pockets, because I always had big pockets. I could bring stuff into the movie theater. I would bring stuff like granola bars and blueberries and strawberries, all healthy stuff. And I wouldn't like throw it on the ground. I'd throw it in the garbage when it was over. So they didn't know I was sneaking it in. So I bring all this stuff in, and I feed her all this stuff because I knew she wasn't going to eat this stuff at home, but she would eat it in a movie theater. You'll eat almost anything in a movie theater. So then at the end, there was a peppermint patty, a York peppermint patty. Well, everybody loves those, and this girl, my niece, really loved these peppermint patties. It got to the point where I would just show her the peppermint patty and say, "See, this is the eye on the prize here. This is what you're going to get." If you eat the banana and the orange slices and almost everything healthy, the tomato slices. I don't know what kids eat, and so she would eat all that stuff, the peanuts, and then I gave her the peppermint patty. There was only one movie she saw that was so good she didn't ask for food the whole time. You know what the movie was? Edward Scissorhands.
Oh, wow.
He was so into the movie. I said, "How come you didn't? I got all this food in my pockets. You didn't eat." She said, "I was so interested in the movie, I didn't feel like eating." But when you're bored, you'll eat the stuff. Now, in my case, like you get these big sodas at the movie theater, and I'm not kidding you. I'm at the age now that I have to run to the bathroom if I drink enough soda in a movie theater. So I don't drink soda or drink anything really. So I heard the Meathead Rob Reiner was on a talk show, and he goes a lot of older people. He makes movies for older people, and he said this is what you do. It's a 2-hour movie. Go to the bathroom for all my old fans out there. Go to the bathroom before the movie starts, and then hold it until the end of the movie, and then you go again. I said that's a great idea. I don't know why people don't think of that, but in my case, like there'll be like Sharon Stone or Margot Robbie or somebody will do a nude scene, and I'd hate to be in the bathroom and I come back and my friend says, "Hey, you missed the shower scene with Sharon Stone." Oh gosh, of all times to go to the bathroom. Now I tell you, a time you really can't leave the movie theater is those Fast and the Furious movies.
Oh, yeah.
They have these car chases that last about 20 minutes each, and there's one probably every 10 minutes. So every 10 minutes, there's like talking, and I don't even know the plots of any of these Fast and Furious movies. The Rock is in it, and Vin Diesel, and now Jason Statham is in it, now Helen Mirren is in it. And there's all these car chases, and they're really good. They're like the best car chases I've ever seen. And and I'm just waiting. When is there going to be a break in this chase so I can run to the bathroom and run back really fast? But I mentioned Rob Reiner, the Meathead. He was complaining that when he dies, the headline's going to say Meathead dies.
Meathead died.
because he is forever associated with that terrible insult, that name that Archie Bunker gave him.
Yeah.
It turned out on a later episode of All in the Family that Meathead was the name Archie got. He was a teenager, and thus he thought that by calling someone else Meathead, people learn the hard way about things. That's why you should never be mean to a kid or something, because they'll take it out on their pets or they'll take it out on other kids or something. Start bullying. They always say that if you go to a bully's house, you'll notice that he's probably a childhood bully. He was probably bullied himself by his parents. Parents probably drink, or parents were always hitting him or something. But that doesn't matter. Doesn't matter to the person if they're bullying. I said, oh, well, then that's his problem. I mean, but at the same time, it's upsetting that these things roll downhill. So I'm very much against name calling and everything. And my real name is Kevin. And Kevin, my mother gave me the name. She said that nobody could make fun of that name. And guess what? Kids are pretty. They find something to say about a name. Kevin, I don't know. Seven's not so bad. They usually make it rhyme with something. Kevin Heaven. Kevin 11. Are you going to shop at 7-Eleven, Kevin? That type of thing. But that's not. That's kind of. That's just funny. That's this type of thing that when you're an adult, you just laugh at it. But when you're a kid, you just say, oh, how dare them insult me? I remember calling kids. Names. I remember. Oh, I'll tell you something. I remember as a kid, there was this guy on television, Don Rickles. And you remember Don Rickles,
Yes.
and he used to insult people, and he was so funny. In fact, you look forward to him anytime he was on a talk show or anything, and because he was always pretty much the same. We've talked about him before, and but I do remember that Don Rickles would start insulting people. People were laughing in the audience at him. And I thought, oh, that's what I should do. I should go to school. I'm not a big kid, so I could certainly run my mouth and insult people that are mean to me. So I started insulting people that were mean to me. Oh, I got my ass whooped over and over and over again. You know, and after probably the second whooping, I stopped that. I mean, I realized people don't like my friends. They don't have the sense of humor that people who go see Don Rickles would have. By the way, when I went to, I said this before, I went to see Don Rickles, and I was in like the second row. This is in Atlantic City, and he walked by me twice and looked at me just for a moment, and then I think he looks at people to insult the black guy, the fat guy, the woman the woman with the alligator purse, and he has a joke, yeah, about them,
Yeah.
and he saw probably nothing funny about me, which is weird because now people are constantly finding stuff funny about me, to insult and everything. They I remember, and those roasts. Remember all the insults of
Oh
those
yeah.
roasts and everything. Do you know we have a president now, or he's back again? And I saw something about the way his tactics. He's sort of like a schoolyard bully. The way I mean, he used to bully people in real estate in New York. That's where he made his money. He used to bully people maybe in local politics, like the Lord Mayor Koch or someone like that, or
Yeah.
and or and then he would always give them a name, and that's what bullies do. And it's actually a blueprint to being for name calling. There, you would say Crooked Hillary, if you remember, and
Oh yeah.
No Drama Obama, and what is it? And even people in his party was Sleepy Eyed Joe. He called, what was he? He called Jeb Bush no energy at Jeb Bush. I mean, and what was weird about those insults was that if you say them long enough, that becomes their name. Sort of like the Meathead from All in the Family. He'll always be known as the Meathead. Rob Reiner. So now while she was running for president, when you saw Hillary, oh, it's Crooked Hillary. He just last week called a woman that ran against him for president Pocahontas, which is actually kind of a racist slur. She assumed she presents herself as a American Indian, Native American, and so he calls her Pocahontas. And of course, even on the things on the channels that are friendly to Trump, they call her Pocahontas. They all pile in because the bully is leading the way. So when I was a kid, I've noticed something about even my internet insults. And listen, if you're on the internet, even from this show, there's going to be. You look at in the comments, you're going to see all these insults about me and Mary, and who cares? Because we're above all that. But one of the things they used to say about me, I was gay, or I was a queer. That was the big word when I was a kid. Everyone that that in high school, if you didn't like somebody, he was a queer. It had nothing to do with homosexuality. In fact, I think most of the kids who were throwing those words around didn't even know what homosexuality was. My grandmother certainly didn't know. And so queer, and now I've noticed that high school has been elevated. It's been elevated to like the internet. Cyberbullying is just bullying, just on a bigger scale across state lines, and you keep hearing about he's a queer, he's gay. There's no basis at all in any of that. And there's also these, I get this here and there. If they don't like you now, you're a pedophile. You're a pedo. Now there really are people that are pedos, but that is uh, calling somebody that with no basis in it is wrong. You can't, you cannot. Police cannot arrest you unless they have proof of something. There's, there's your fanciers over there.
I don't know them.
You don't know them. They're
No.
friends of mine.
Oh,
Everyone I know knows me.
really?
No.
Uh,
They were just disrupting this show. Anyway, I like people try to disrupt the show in other ways. But so anyway, so what was I saying? Pedos. Okay, so there's this group called QAnon. Before it was the what was the Tea Party. You probably remember them. They're pretty much the same thing. And they would call Biden is a pedo, Obama's a pedo. All these people, the Queen Elizabeth is a pedo. I think that guy is is going to his mental health clinic right now. So anyway, so everyone's a pedo, and when you call people, when you call everybody, that, then that those insults stop, um, have no more strength anymore. It's almost like if everyone's a pedo, then there's no shame in being insulted as one because nobody knows. Because if everyone's going to be insulted that way, QAnon, and that's why, and they do it with no basis. They do it with no, but they. So I have friends that are worried about their reputation on the internet. I'm never worried about my reputation on the internet. You know why? Or my reputation in public service or anything, because I've always been confident since I was a kid, and thanks to good parenting. I mean, my parents actually encouraged us. They said, "Why do you care what people say about you? It's upsetting and all, but no one's going to believe that. No one's going to believe that you're queer
yeah.
or that you're stupid or something.
Yeah.
They're going to believe if they know you. Everyone who knows you well and friends of yours are going to like you, and they're not going to think of you as in
Right.
terrible terms. Now, on the other hand, if they don't know you, they can believe anything they want about you, and once they get to know you, then they'll ease up on it. I've turned so many people around in friendships. Once they got to know me, they say, "Okay, he's not such a bad guy after all." Of course, I'm not. Well, I remember, yeah, that they would say that the worst things, and so yeah, and they would, and it's all lies, and people are always so worried about their reputation. I said, I'm not worried about my reputation at all. There are actually rumors about famous celebrities, like there was one terrible one about Rod Stewart having a sexual encounter with a whole soccer team in England. Now you probably heard about that, and every time, for the longest time, people believed it was one of those things you wanted to believe if you didn't like Rod Stewart.
Yeah.
And then Rod Stewart was, asked in an interview, "Well, do you know about this rumor?" He goes, "I know all about this rumor." And he says, "What? Where did that come from?" He goes, "I broke up with a manager, and the manager spread that rumor to everybody, and it caught fire everywhere." Another one was, you probably heard the famous one having to do with a gerbil and a famous movie star. In fact, I was in a movie with Richard Gere, and we were even joking about it. Have you seen Richard Gere on the set? And it's something had to do with gerbils or something. So I heard, where did this come from? These things don't come out of thin air. Is there any truth to it? There's no truth to it. But what happened was, he was in one of his first movies that he wound up not being in was called The Lords of Flatbush. It had Henry Winkler and Perry King, but the main star was Sylvester Stallone before he was Rocky. It's a good movie. It's about the 50s. It's sort of like an American Graffiti type movie. And what happened was, him and Sylvester Stallone did not get along. Richard Gere. They still don't get along. They've never made a movie together. And Sylvester Stallone supposedly, to get him fired after he was fired or something, he hated Richard Gere so much he spread that rumor, and that persists to this day. That rumor, and it's all false. So take everything with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Um, uh, Richard Gere, has done a lot of good work for the with the Dalai Lama, and he's a vegan and all that. You saw him on the Oscars once. He was blackballed from the Oscars because he asked for China to take it easy on Tibet and the Dalai Lama, and then he wound up. They said, "Oh, we depend on China for a lot of our money, so please, we're not going to have you at the Academy Awards anymore." So what else? No, so and then my name, my real name is Kravitz. So of course people would try to get the worst derivations of that word, try to make insults out of that name. And so I almost like cried when I was like 6 years old, and my dad says, "You think those insults are bad? I got the same insults when I was a kid. They called me not Kravitz, but rabbits, carrots, and then some ones with curse words in it. And they were 6 years old. I was 6 years old, so I said, "Well, I can't really do anything." Some people have really awful names that are that lend themselves to that, like like uh like Andy Dick, or like I used to know a guy. His name was Jimmy Moose. Moose. I
Yeah.
knew a guy named Gooseman.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of moose,
Yeah.
on this episode of the Golden Girls,
Yeah.
when so I think somebody came over Blanche's house or something,
Yeah.
and then he would say something about moose,
Hmm.
and then Sophia was like, call Dorothy Moose,
Yeah.
and then he or she were like moose,
Yeah.
and then they'll be like, both Sophia and Andrew were like, what?
Yeah.
Remember that?
Moose. I remember so much from the Golden Girls. We once, you remember a few years ago, we did a show dressed as the Golden Girls.
Yeah,
We were on our way to a party, a costume party, and you had to dress up as your favorite Golden Girl. I think I just went as the fifth one, the one they don't talk about.
yeah,
Golden Girl's a funny show, funny
yeah.
show. And so it's very hard to tell people. You know, I remember calling a guy a really bad name when I was in high, wasn't even high school, middle school. Middle school was terrible for me. I hated middle school.
I
Like
hated middle school
it was
too.
like Lord of the Flies, having to wear that costume at gym class and everything, and with elastic. Oh, I gotta tell you a funny story about gym class. there
Uh,
was um, there was a kid, and he wore the gym shorts, and he
yeah.
had boxer shorts under it, and the what's his name, the coach got mad at the kid. He says, "I don't like your underwear. It's peeking out of your gym shorts. I want you to wear like Y fronts, or Hanes underwear or something." And I got so mad. I said, who the hell is he to tell people what type of underwear they wear?
Wow.
What's the old joke? What's the old joke? Where the girl climbs the tree. He goes, all the boys make you climb the tree because they want to look at your underwear. He goes, "Well, I filled them this time." He goes, "What'd you do?" He goes, "I didn't wear any." Well, anyway, I got so mad at this coach for actually telling us what. I mean, is he going to like send notes home to our parents to buy us the right underwear for his stupid gym class? Gym class, I didn't do anything anyway. I was just throwing balls up. So I said, I will never ever change my wardrobe for any woman, any teacher. And if I have to wear a uniform for a job, that's a different story. But I'm not going to. I'll always adhere to my dress code. Is pretty good. Speaking of dress code, how do you like this silk suit?
I love it. I love it.
I What was going on? It snowed really bad a few weeks ago, and I kind of knew it was going to snow, so I was going to spend the whole day home from work, and I had all these clothes that had buttons missing and a lot of pockets that had holes in them. And I had to sew them up and everything. So I just put them in a big pile, and while I was watching TV or something, I was just sewing them all up. And this suit, this pants, like it too. I was going to hem it at the cuff, and then hem these at the cuffs, the wrist cuffs. and then sew the buttons on it properly. And then I'm going to wear this wonderful silk suit. And things got so out of hand that it was actually hanging up on the doorknob. I never wore the suit before for 2 months, and then finally I tried it on to see where I could have it, and it fit perfectly. I didn't have to hem it at all. So so I have so now I have this new suit. It really is a beautiful suit. It's the sharks. I wore it to a function just a few weeks ago, and this is the first time I'm wearing it here. And one of the women said, "You look like Frank Sinatra in that suit." I said, "Yeah, it's like my Ocean's 11 suit,
Yeah.
shark skin suit." But
Yeah.
this is Ocean's 11 with Frank Sinatra, not the one with George
Oh
Clooney.
yeah. Yeah.
And then let's see. Also, so yeah, so uh, and then I look back when I was in high school, and I would get mad at people for not dressing as well as me. And when I said not dressing as well as me,
Yeah.
I meant like girls who dress like their grandmothers.
Oh yeah.
There were some kids in school. You always met a girl in every class that dressed like an old lady. She wore like a long. She almost seemed like an old
Oh
lady,
yeah.
like a little old lady. She'd wear like old style glasses, old style. She kind of she kind of walked in a frumpy way.
Like a broomstick skirt.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And looking back on that, I think,
I used to have one of those when I was in middle school.
well, it's a good thing I didn't know you in middle school. Yeah, you would have gotten the brunt of my insults. And but now looking back on it, yeah, they had their own stuff. I should have
Yeah.
been, and now it's been, usually lately I've been dressing all right, but there was a time when I dressed really weird at school. I remember uh, I would wear a shirt like this and then a t-shirt over it. A lot of guys wear a t-shirt and then a shirt like this over it, unbuttoned, then you'd see like the Marshall Tucker band
Yeah.
or the Allman Brothers band, which is what I had
Yeah.
on the shirts. I thought I was so cool looking, but I would wear it above it, and that was I thought that was a cool look. And then when I got to college, they said, "Is that what you wore in high school?" I think that's funny. Oh, and a lot of times you don't know about dressing until you meet other kids in a social setting. I remember I was 6 years old. You're gonna love this. I was 6 years old, and I go to a kid's house. I never spent the night at a kid's house before, so when you spend your night at a kid's house, you imagine you're just going to have all this fun because at home you have to go to bed early and you can't eat ice cream or anything. And usually they put on the dog when you come to their house. So anyway, my mom said I got you some new pajamas to wear on your trip to your friend's house. I was like, oh, great, great, great.
Mhm.
So anyway, I come in from the bathroom and into his room, and we're going to sleep I'm going to sleep in the sleeping bag on near his bed, and these were like pajamas that had feet in them,
Oh yeah.
and he goes, "You're 6 years old and you still wear pajamas with feet in them?"
I used to have those pajamas like
Well, I did too, up until I was 6 years old. I probably would have worn them till I was 12 years old if I didn't go to that kid's house. He had told me, and he wore pajamas like Cary Grant would wear, or like Fred
Yeah.
Astaire would wear,
Yeah.
real fancy ones. And my mom said, we only got you those pajamas so your feet won't be cold at night. I said, I don't really care about my feet. I'm hot enough in the bed. Also, I remember never sleeping. It was weird. I never slept when I was a kid. I would be up all night, like with insomnia, and then for some reason, I don't know when this would happen, but they would always have to wake me up in the morning. But I would go to bed at like 9 o'clock or so, or eight o'clock. But I would be up, my eyes like this, the stare, deer in the headlights stare,
Yeah.
and and I'd want to read a comic book or read I was a big reader. No, 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 we can't let you read in bed and stuff. And I was afraid of the dark. So I still have. So I always have to have the hall light on, the porch light
Yeah.
on, and I was so I didn't know that that kids after a certain age stop wearing the pajamas with feet in them,
Yeah.
like Laurel and Hardy.
Yeah.
All I need was that little hat.
Yeah.
So but but so after that, I don't forget what type of pajamas I wore after that, but that was I think more like like you get on Christmas time. Those pajamas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, it's 35 minutes, so we're going to take a little break.
Oh, can I come back
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
talk some more? All right.
We'll be back.
I'm only on
So.
I'm only on page 3.
God bless you.